Kendrick.
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 Kendrick. Kendrick. Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Kendrick. Kendrick.
Kendrick.
Hey Google, play Kendrick Lamar.
Playing Kendrick Lamar on Apple Music.
Wait. I'm pretty sure you guys already know that one. And I'm pretty sure you also know All Right, Love, Pride, Money Trees, but we don't really pay enough attention to Kendrick's features. I mean, I'm not talking about Stay Ready, Like That, or Freedom. Let's pay attention to a really unknown one. It's called Never Catch Me, featuring Kendrick Lamar.
Flying Lotus and Kendrick Lamar's Never Catch Me explores deep ideas about life, death, and what it means to be free. Through both the lyrics and the music video, the artists create a vision where death isn't an ending but a transformation. The song suggests that freedom can be found in release, whether that release comes from death or from the innocence and imagination of childhood. Together, the music and visuals offer a meditation on how liberation often comes from letting go rather than holding on. Kendrick Lamar's verses walk a thin line between despair and enlightenment. When he raps, "When the rain starts to pour, I'm in the grave. I'm on the way to the promised land," he turns death into a journey, not a punishment. His voice carries urgency and energy propelled by Flying Lotus's frantic jazz-inspired production. The beat's restless motion mirrors the chaos of life and the racing pace of thought. Yet, within the energy lies a search for peace. Kendrick's fast rhythmic flow feels like a soul trying to break free from the physical limits. The repeated line, becomes more than a boast, it's a spiritual statement. Death, the ultimate pursuer, cannot capture the living essence of who we are. The music video, directed by Hiro Murai, brings these ideas to life through vivid and emotional imagery. It opens with a funeral scene where mourners gather around two small coffins. The mood is heavy and solemn, and the room is filled with grief. Then, something miraculous happens. The two children rise from their caskets, smiling and full of life. They begin to dance, first in the church and then out in the world. The moment transforms the meaning of death from finality to freedom. The children's movements, bright and joyful, become acts of defiance against sorrow. They dance not as ghosts, but as spirits who've discovered what it means to be truly alive. Childhood in this video becomes a metaphor for a kind of freedom untouched by fear or sadness. The children move fluidly and without restraint, while the adults stand still, locked in their mourning. The contrast is striking. The young move toward light and life, while the grown remain trapped by convention and grief. When the children leave the church and climb into a hearse, the symbol of death is turned on its head. The hearse becomes a vehicle for their freedom, not their end. Instead of closing the story, the ride feels like an open door, a journey towards something infinite. Death is rewritten as another form of life. This blending of childhood and morality also draws from deep African American cultural and spiritual traditions, where death is often seen as a passage rather than a disappearance. The children's resurrections echoes the themes of continuity and rebirth found in Black music and storytelling. Even in tragedy, there is motion, rhythm, and the persistence of the spirit. Flying Lotus's sound, rooted in jazz, soul, and electronic experimentation, reflects this heritage. His production blurs the line between genres just as the video blurs the boundaries between life and death. The song's mix of old and new becomes its own cycle of renewal. Never Catch Me presents freedom not as an escape from death, but as fearless acceptance of it. To live without fear is to live like a child, open, curious, and unafraid of endings. Through Kendrick Lamar's intense lyrics and Flying Lotus's layered soundscape, death becomes movement rather than stillness, and the children's dance becomes a living metaphor for eternal life. Together, sound and image remind us that freedom is not found in denying morality, but in recognizing that the spirit continues, dancing, dreaming, and forever beyond our grasp.
Analyzing Never Catch Me in search of the theme of morality, we initially view the music video from the lens of linguistic mode. Through investigating the lyrics, we are faced with the implied moralistic standpoint of the artist, this being Kendrick Lamar. We are introduced to the understanding that Lamar reminisces on his career in which the sentiments in his words ain't been so sincere. He goes on to the thought of falling off disappeared to his fate. With that given, we can acknowledge that a form of self-conviction is verbalized regarding the artist's dishonesty and the root of it, this being the fear of losing relevance. Following that, the concept of heaven makes an emboldened entrance, raising the question of whether it is something that exists or not. The inclusion of this term is what highlights the moralistic implications of this piece. Lamar then begins to speak about this idea of running away from your own mistakes, then basking in your own guilt, unable to truly escape your wrongdoing as it surrounds you, is acknowledged within these lyrics. Eventually, the artist admits plainly that they look down on their soul and they yearn for the confirmation that they can live long, wrong, and right. With these lyrics, we are made aware that those who commit moral crimes are emotionally drowning with their own self-conviction, mentally begging for a way out. As we explore the visual mode of the music video, we run into similar themes of morality. The difference between the linguistic mode and the visual mode in this case is that while the linguistic mode is able to articulate and capture the feeling of guilt, the visual mode can evoke these feelings from the audience through its powerful illustrations. In the case of Never Catch Me, the visuals display a more apparent storyline than the lyrics. We start with the story at hand. As the presumably dead children jump out of the coffin, dancing proceeding to run out of the funeral, making their way to a group of children playing, continuing to dance, we can acknowledge that this is an artistic expression of the children's desires. We know that they are not meant to be deceased. This is not what they wanted. As the montage continues, the children make their way into a car. They start to drive, and the playing children run after the car, following close behind. This is a representation of what could have been had the children's lives not been cut short. Driving is a representation of any adult experience, one that these dead kids will never experience. The children chasing after them is the expression of the way in which they are missed. This display evokes feelings of guilt from the audience. It makes the viewers criticize what societal issues could have led to this outcome. It plays into our own morals. We criticize our own rights and wrongs and how it compares to the story told to us here.
In Never Catch Me, both Flying Lotus and Kendrick Lamar commentate on the topic of premature death in Black youth, taking us through the point of views of all those affected. Visually, we see loved ones, the friends, and the children. Time seems to stop for the loved ones, the aunties, the uncles, and the parents as they linger in grief. For the children, they become their memory personified. The action of their bodies rising from the caskets and dancing seems to symbolize their bright presence as well as the bright future stripped from them. However, in their cheerfulness, they defy death along with those who brought them their early grave, symbolizing that they will never be held down because their memory and their legacy will continue to live on. Musically, you hear the shift in the atmosphere as the music starts off quiet and softer as it introduces you to the setting, and it transitions from the somber theme into a more upbeat one as the children spend more time on the screen. Then the music and the lyrics take on a racing tempo, paralleling the lack of time these children spent on Earth. However, right towards the close of the song, the lyrics conclude and the music is less hastening and instead lighter, alluding to the freeing aid of death. Though the lyrics by themselves relate more to Kendrick's testimony, the combination of the visual and lyrical modes hint towards more significance.
Analyze my demise, I say I'm super anxious.
Seems to allude to the experience of dreading death and accepting it from the perspective of the preyed upon youth. He continues this perspective throughout, adding on pieces meant for the predators. This that cracked installation, which can allude to the implementation of crack in the Black community, is an example of this. It is an allusion to the long history of Black youth being brutalized and murdered as seen in many testimonies of Black persons in enslavement, Jim Crow, and modern eras like Tulsa and the Birmingham church bombing. All three of these lyrics talk or mention different methods used to oppress black youth: violence, exposure, and intimidation. In modern days, we are no stranger to violence against black youth. Emmett Till, Trayvon Martin, Ma'Khia Bryant, and so many more have been victims to this. Countless more have been infected due to the crack epidemic through exposure, and so many have been held down due to systemic intimidation. All of which has led to the death of black children, if not the death of their dreams. After this, Kendrick takes back the power he gives to the oppressor, saying,
I got my control when I'm here. You gon' hate me when I'm gone.
for the first, showing the defiance of these kids while they're alive, trying to claw their way to success. Then the second states the power of death, the freedom that comes with it. These children's power is only amplified upon death, as they spark change and reverberate the hunger for more.
The music video uses childhood to tell a story about life, death, and freedom in a way that feels both emotional and spiritual. The director takes something that could have been dark or tragic and turns it into something alive and full of movement. Through these children, the video shows childhood as a symbol of freedom and innocence. Everything feels heavy until something unexpected happens. The two children inside the coffin rise up. They smile, take each other's hand, and start dancing down the aisle. In that moment, the whole mood of the video changes. What felt like the end of life suddenly feels like the start of something new. While the adults remain seated, weighed down by grief, the children are full of life. It's as if they know something the adults do not. They are not afraid of death or sadness. They move with the kind of joy that belongs only to people who still believe in possibility. The difference between the children and the adults says a lot about how childhood represents a kind of truth. As we grow older, we require a level of seriousness and an understanding of rules of mourning. We sit still, we look serious, and we forget what it means to move without worrying about being judged. The children remind us that freedom is not just physical, but emotional too. They are free from the expectations of how people are supposed to react to death. Instead of accepting sadness, they chose to dance through it. There is also something deeply meaningful about using Black children as the focus of the story. The image of a young Black life in a coffin is heartbreaking because it connects to the real loss and injustice. But here, those children are not defined by tragedy. They rise up, they smile, and they take control of their own story. The choreography makes all of this even more powerful. Every step they take feels like a heartbeat. The way they move together is full of rhythm and purpose. Their dance becomes a kind of language. It says that spirit does not die and that joy can even exist in dark spaces. In the end, the childhood aspect of Never Catch Me reminds us that life is not about how long we exist, but how deeply we live. The childhood shows us that even when life ends, energy and love continues to move. They dance through grief and it turns into something beautiful. Watching them makes you think about what it means to be alive and what it means to be free.
Ultimately, four themes can be drawn from the Never Catch Me music video: morality, death, freedom, and childhood. These themes are present in both the song and its visual component, and are used in their relation with the struggles of the black community. Morally, Lamar can be understood to lament both the future of his career and his journey as an artist thus far. He acknowledges that he's unable to cope with his anxiety of losing his relevance, while conceding that his only means of coping with this anxiety are performing questionable acts to maintain his stability. Further, the video component suggests that the group of late children died at the hand of a morally conflicted individual. While the story doesn't explicitly connect Lamar to the children, it does speak to a society forced to commit crimes. This analysis continues with the theme of death, as the video portrays the children's funerals. In showing the children dancing at their own service, the video suggests that death is not the immediate end for any individual. The music's temporal aspects, such as the shifts in volume and speed, stand to represent the pace of these young people's lives, while lyrically, Lamar weighs not only his acceptance of death, but how its causes, specifically within the black community, will continue to perpetuate death's cycle. He also considers how black voices are lifted upon their death, and transitions into the theme of freedom as he explains death's liberating qualities in contrast to its devastating ones. Musically, Lamar's lyrics and flow, in conjunction with Flying Lotus's production, convey a sense of autonomy of self, while visually, a stereotypical hearse is transformed from a symbol of one's end to one of continuous life. Childhood, the final and perhaps most visually prevalent theme, is portrayed as a sense of ignorance that one can only maintain at a young age. In contrast to the sitting, mourning adults, the children are smiling, dancing, and celebrating life. This can be read as either the children not knowing what's to come, or a happy acceptance of what already has. Either way, the children in the video are a clear demonstration of the nature of childhood, the bliss in seeing the beauty and forgetting the flaws. When analyzed in collaboration with one another, these themes paint a clear picture of what Never Catch Me wishes to say and what its music video portrays. While fate may prematurely force death upon some people, death is only a beautiful continuation of one's life.